I used to think that execution was a personality trait and not a skill. I was totally wrong. Over the last number of years, I've come to realize that the ability to execute, the ability to perform is 100% a skill, and I want to break that down with you tonight. Let's get into it. So there you heard it. Tonight I want to talk to you about the fact that execution is a skill, not a personality trait. So to say that a different way, the ability for someone to perform or the ability for someone to execute is not something that they're born with. Like, you're not born and then it's either laid out that you're going to be ultra successful or you're going to live a mediocre life. That's not how that happens. Effectively, regardless of your situation or your place of birth, anything like that, you can learn to navigate that. You can learn to succeed. You can learn to execute. And that's what I want to talk to you about here. Now, when you learn skills like execution, I want to clarify right up front, nice and early, there is discomfort that comes along with it, right? There's all sorts of growing pains. There's all sorts of stuff that comes along with it. But I think that's why we're here. That's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the show, right? Like, there is things that you'll have to sacrifice. There's things you have to push through. There's discomfort you have to get past. But like I always say, everything you want is right on the other side of discomfort. So when I talk about execution, the first thing, I guess maybe I should break down, in my mind, a skill, okay? Execution is a skill, not a personality trait. So I want to clarify what I mean by that. A skill is something you can learn. It's a learned ability developed through practice and repetition. Pretty simple, right? A trait, or in this situation, a personality trait, is something that you're born with. It's a natural characteristic, something that's not easily changed. I'll give you a couple examples. So for me, hate to say it, but I have a trait. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, right? I'm not bad. I'm doing fine for myself. But for reference, for those of you that can't see me sitting up nice and straight, I'm all 5'10". I'm all of 5'10", but I'm 5'10". So this jumps to mind because that's not something that I can change, right? I think there's surgeries now where people are getting, lifts in their knees or getting taller somehow. I'm not sure how that actually works. I could probably go over to Turkey and figure that out, but that would not be easy to change. So for this situation, for this example, I can't get taller. Okay, this is just my life. This is just who I am. As much as I manifest that I'm 6 foot, it's not really working so far for me. Now, if I'm totally wrong and one day I wake up and I just grew a couple inches, I'll let you know. I'll give you those secrets. But I'm not a tall guy, okay? I'm also not in the NBA, right? So when I say like the difference between a skill set and a trait is, I'm not going to sit here and blame the fact that I'm not in the NBA because I'm 5'10". I'm not 6'6" or whatever that is. There's a lot of things that I can learn that could have got me, well, in theory, could have got me to the NBA, right? You can be any size, and if you work hard enough, you put in the effort, you get some good fortune, you get some God-given talent, all that kind of stuff. You can take those steps, you can take those strides. Amazing things happen if you work hard, right? But as far as a personality trait goes, I can't change it. I can't change my height, but here we are. The skill set side of that is we'll relate the skill of basketball to get into the NBA along with, the skill of execution. Okay, that's just the analogy. Maybe this is hard to follow, but that's the analogy that comes to mind for me. The skill of execution, regardless of the situation, regardless if you're a good negotiator, if you're consistently successful, regardless if you're good at executing, whatever you're executing in, you have the ability to do it. Similar to, regardless of the situation, I can build my skills, and if I would have taken a very different path in life, maybe I would have been in the NBA, but that would have taken a lot of hard work, a lot of practice, a lot of repetition, a lot of sacrifice, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. But for me, that was a really pivotal way, or a really key way for me to visualize in my mind what is a trait that I can control and what is a skill that I can build, and how sometimes you can put those together and they don't necessarily have to determine one another. Now, will they impact one another? For sure. The road to becoming an NBA superstar, or even just getting into the NBA as somebody that's 5'10", all of 5'10", is much harder than it is for somebody that is 6'10", right? There's a lot of things left in there, but that's just the fact of the matter. So when I talk about execution, if we're talking about situations in my past anyways, I can still have the stories like, you know, I live in a small market. If I'm a landscaper, I can say we only have grass outside 4 months a year. The rest of it's snow. I have those situations, those facts that I have to deal with. But as a landscaper in Grand Prairie would tell you, there's still the ability to have a business, right? As, you know, Muggsy Bogues would tell you, or Allen Iverson, there's still the ability to have a career in the NBA as a shorter man. I don't know how tall those guys are, but I know they're taller than me. Or maybe. Somebody fact check me. Some NBA fan out there, let me know. So it's just for me, like, that's a key point in expressing, okay, here's a trait and here's a skill. Now that we got that out of the way, back to the NBA, I guess, in a little bit. I was talking to a friend of mine, somebody close to me, and he referenced 50 Cent, the rapper. I don't know if any of you remember him or know him. Not personally, maybe you do, but 50 Cent, get rich or die trying, right? This friend of mine referenced that quote a while ago, and I just thought that that was really cool, and I'll explain that a little bit. You might think I'm crazy, but sometimes when somebody says something to me, I like to find the alternative meanings to the statement. Lots of stories popping in my mind right now, but when he said, get rich or die trying, I know it's a 50 Cent thing. It's from his rap album. It's about getting rich or effectively getting murdered is kind of thing in his line of work, I guess. But in my mind, I kind of thought about that a little bit of a different way. There's a massive commitment there. And there's actually, to me, there's kind of two ways of looking at that. Whether it's get rich or die trying for my boy Fiddy, or in this situation, like MBA or die trying. Like if I would have actually stepped back and when I was 8 or 10 years old, decided beyond the shadow of a doubt, I will make it to the NBA, my life would have been drastically different. Now, I'm not saying I would have been in the NBA, but I would have worked a lot harder at perfecting my craft. I would have run a lot more. I would have trained a lot more. I would have put myself in situations a lot more. And even if you're consistently failing, you're just going to put yourself in a lot more situations to succeed in that, right? And when I think about get rich or die trying, or get in the NBA or die trying, effectively there's two courses of action there. You either push yourself to the absolute limit that your body can't function anymore, or you never give up. And I thought when I heard him say this, and I was like, I don't want to get rich that bad. I don't want to die right now, right? But also there's the factor where get rich or die trying, or MBA or die trying is like, okay, but maybe that's every moment of my life. I'm going to keep pushing for that goal. I could be 90 years old and I might not have given up on getting into the NBA. And I don't know, that just landed with me different, because there's two different ways there. And there's more than one way to effectively say, I'm going to get there or I'm going to die trying. That's effectively, I'm going to get there or it's going to take my life, or I'm absolutely never going to give up. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because it's just, again, the absolute resolution of getting to that end goal. But like I said before, there's going to be a lot of sacrifices along the way, right? Anytime you want to achieve anything, especially anything notable, right? Like I can achieve something, I can go buy a chocolate bar and it's only going to cost me $2, and then I eat the chocolate bar, but it's going to cost me something, right? I can also say I'm going to achieve, massive significance, or I'm going to build an empire, or I'm going to improve my quality of life. I'm going to work out in the mornings. Those are all going to cost me something. Working out in the mornings is going to be uncomfortable to get out of bed. It's going to be hard to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be sore. To build an empire, there's all sorts of sacrifices. Even for someone to say, I want to make more money. Okay, well, we've talked about this stuff before, but if you want to make more money and you have an hourly job, the math equals you work more. So there's massive sacrifices there. You see less of your family, you see less of your friends, you see less of your dog, whatever that is. You have less free time, whatever that is. But I just think it's, again, a key distinction that there's going to be major sacrifices along the way. And again, I don't say that to say, like, don't sacrifice, obviously. It's not like you shouldn't try and make more money, you shouldn't achieve these things. But just, again, the knowledge that there's going to be sacrifices is going to really help you carry through. Because like in our last episode, we talked about how easy it is to quit. Okay, well, if I say I'm going to go buy this chocolate bar and then the guy asks me for $1 or $2 and I'm surprised, I'm going to quit. I'm going to say, I don't want that chocolate that bad. You keep your chocolate. I'll keep my $2. In the same sense as if I tell myself I want to lose 20 pounds, but then I'm not willing to do the work, or if I want to make $20,000 more next year and I'm not willing to work more, we need to realize that that's just something that we're going to have to deal with. It's that direct correlation between something that the pain and pleasure side, we'll call it, right? The pleasure of making more money and the pain of working more. There's that sacrifice. It's just law. It's like the law of thermodynamics. If I want to lose weight, then I need to realize that in order to lose body mass, and my body runs on 2,000 calories. Now, how would I say this? If I eat 2,000 calories and my body runs on 2,000 calories, I'm going to stay flat. I'm not going to gain, I'm not going to lose. If my body runs on 2,000 calories, that's a terrible number. I'm going to use a higher number because that's not enough calories for you. Or me, that's for sure. If my body runs on 2,500 calories and I eat 2,300 calories, I'm in a 200 calorie deficit and I'm going to start to edge towards losing a little bit of weight. If my body runs on 2,800 calories and I'm going to run on 2,000 calories, that's a 700 calorie deficit every day. Now, you're going to lose weight. Just science, just the law of thermodynamics. It's going to happen. But there's going to be a lot of discomfort along the way. You're going to be hungry, right? So I think it's important to recognize all these skills, all these things we want to build, all these improvements we want to make. There's going to be a lot of sacrifice along the way. You want to lose weight, you're going to be hungry. You want to gain muscle, you're going to be sore. You might be over full, all that kind of stuff, or uncomfortable in other ways. You want to make more money, you have to work more. You want to get better at a craft, whatever that is. Maybe you have a sport you want to get better at. You're going to sacrifice your work, right? You want to get better at your work. You want to make more money. You're going to sacrifice family time. You want to do a podcast. You're going to sacrifice some sleep, whatever that is, right? But I think it's crucial to recognize that we all have those decisions to make. And I'm not saying this to get you to not strive for excellence or not push through discomfort. I'm just saying the first key is to realize what you're going to be up against and then say, yes, that's a decision I can make. I'm not going to go in a 700 calorie deficit, but I can go in a 200 calorie deficit and I'm going to see some gradual results. They're going to be a little smaller, but they're going to be a lot more sustainable. And then I can just continue on with that, building that skill and that repetition. Now, again, just with that discomfort side, it's just consistent throughout, right? Like that's life. If you want something, you're going to have to sacrifice something else to get it. I'm talking a little bit about, I was going to mention it, but I'm in the middle of a book right now, the Miracle Morning, and I forget the author's name, but it's a really cool book, and I'm not done it yet. But one thing that he's talking about right now is just making the decision to get up earlier. And I was kind of having some fun with my family before I left the house. They're getting ready for bed and stuff like that. And I'm like, tomorrow's Tuesday. Tuesday morning is going to be a great morning. I don't know why I'm doing this with my fingers. Tuesday morning is going to be a great morning. And watching too much news. So tomorrow's Tuesday. Tuesday morning is going to be a great morning. I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to enjoy it. And it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice and dark. It's going to be nice and cool. I'm going to just be able to relax for a bit. I'm going to have a little coffee. Maybe I'm going to do a workout. Maybe I'm going to journal. Maybe I'm going to meditate. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is going to be a good morning. And I was having some fun with that. And it was really interesting because it actually changed my mood, right? And that would be another episode, another conversation, but I would love to kind of dive into that a little bit more, just the power of a positive mind. What I'm getting into in this situation is the results are often dictated by how we feel, right? Something like realizing, okay, I'm going to realize that I'm going to be a little hungry, and that's fine because I'm pushing towards my goal. It's drastically different than saying, here's my goal, and my goal is to lose weight. I'm going to chop off 500 calories a day. And then all of a sudden in 3 days, you're starving. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like headachy and lightheaded and go do workout and don't have any energy and can't really, just uncomfortable. And if you're surprised by it, you're like, what the hell's going on? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. This is brutal. I'd rather just have the Doritos, right? I'd rather just eat. If you're not prepared for it, it's going to be a surprise. And once again, it's going to be super easy to quit. But as soon as you acknowledge, okay, this is what's coming down the pipe or pike, whatever it is. This is what's coming. I recognize that I'm going to be a little bit hungry. I recognize I'm going to be a little bit tired. I recognize that I'm going to wake up in the morning and yeah, I'm not an idiot. The bed's going to feel pretty warm at 6 a.m., but also I'm excited to get up. That kind of stuff just drastically changes your chance at success, right? And I think it's important to realize, check this book out. It's really cool. Have I started waking up early? No, I'm going to do the book first and I'll see if you can convince me and then I'll let you guys know. But yeah, I'm excited for Tuesday morning. I'm going to wake up a little bit earlier than usual. And I know for a fact I'm going to be in a lot better mood, right? This all stems from, I need to get my kids in a better mood when they wake up. Oh, my little one's just a little bit of a beast in the morning and hard to get out of bed. And I recognize today that I could probably have a better impact on that, right? So again, that influence of people. How do you influence people? How do you support people? You lead by example, and that's really what that's about. Okay, so now that we've kind of rambled, I've explained a little bit on the execution being a skill, not a personality trait. Difference between skills and personality traits, as well as kind of a couple of really off analogies about skills and personality traits, and about my potential journey to be in the NBA regardless of my stature. Now I want you guys to pay very close attention. I think essentially what I want to do right now is I want to tell you exactly what I believe is the crucial framework to building execution as a skill. Okay, and I'm going to say it a couple times because I don't want you to miss any of this. So to me, there's 3 major steps to learning how to execute. And this is crucial. First step is to start. You cannot accomplish anything until you start. Whether you're waking up early, whether you're marketing different, whether you're trying to make more money, you need to make that commitment and you need to start. Sounds simple, right? Starting is exciting, but it can also be very, very hard and often just debilitating, right? We'll go back to a fitness journey. I shared on Instagram a little bit about my fitness journey here the other day, and I appreciate all the support and love and stuff like that on that. I think something to keep in mind there is you need to start somewhere. You need to recognize, we've talked about this before, but you need to recognize where you're at and start where you are and then build off of that. So every day when you say, I'm going to execute. So what is the execution of a fitness journey? There's a lot of different levels of execution, but for the sake of this conversation, I would say execution would be a workout. That is one step of execution. So I'm going to commit to working out. I'm going to execute on that. I'm going to work out 3 days a week. I'm going to execute on that. I'm going to eat a certain way. I'm going to execute on that. I'm going to drink enough water. I'm going to execute on that. So if we say we're going to start working out, I gotta go down to the gym, right? You got to just start. It doesn't have to look pretty all the time, but you have to start. I got to start being mindful of my food, right? Whatever that is. If I want to lose weight, if I want to gain weight, if I want to get more energy, if I want to cut out bread, if I want to, cut out sugar, whatever that is, I got to start. I got to start somewhere. I got to plan for it. There's all these little bits of minutia and little skills that you need to take into account. For me, breakfast, and I've talked about it before, breakfast is a crucial meal, right? I need to make sure that I get a certain amount of protein in for breakfast. I don't love being the gym bro guy that says, get your protein. But I've realized that if I don't have enough meat in the morning, I am hungry more often throughout the day. And that carries all the way to right before bed. So if I have my breakfast right now for the last, 3 months, it used to be 2 eggs and a piece of meat. And now it's 1 egg and a piece of meat that's bigger. And then often some sort of a carb, toast, right? Toast or potatoes. I'm really loving toast lately. I had some support from a coach I told you about, and just really showing me being mindful about how food supports me, and being mindful about how different foods make me feel. And I thought that I had an aversion to toast or bread, I guess. It could be untoasted sometimes. Could be crazy. But I actually found that it makes me feel really good when I eat meat and eggs and a piece of toast in the morning. It gives me a mix of I'm satiated, I'm full, and I also have energy and I'm awake. Yeah, it's just, it works for me. If I miss that breakfast, which I typically don't do, I really don't do. But if I were to miss that breakfast, it's really going to throw my day off. If I'm traveling or something, the other day we were on the road and I did my best. I had egg bites and a Starbucks breakfast sandwich. So it wasn't bad. It just wasn't exactly what I needed, and I could feel it throughout the day. I didn't have enough meat, right? So I'm just ripping through ground beef these days, but I feel great doing it. But anyways, and I need to start. And where do I even start there? It's okay, with food, I need to prepare food. I need to have food in the fridge, right? I need to make sure that I'm not waking up in the morning and then trying to cook a big rock solid frozen pound of ground beef, right? I need to cook it earlier and portion out or whatever that is. I need to be prepared and I need to start, right? Workouts, meal preps, meal planning, setting aside time to be active, all that kind of stuff. I just need to start. Okay, number 2, out of my 3 crucial steps to learning to execute. Number 1 is start. Number 2, I had to look at my notes for this one. Finish. I need to do the thing I said I was going to do, right? I said I'm going to go down and I'm going to work out. I need to do a workout. I need to finish that workout. I said I'm going to eat a good breakfast. I need to actually consume that breakfast. It's pretty pointless if I prep breakfast and I'm cooking ground beef on a Sunday night and then I wake up Monday morning and rip through McDonald's, right? It doesn't make sense. So with every one of those little executed skills, or every time I can execute, I need to finish and I need to execute, and I need to give myself a little pat on the back every time I do. So I got to start and I got to finish. Okay, that finishing can look like the workout on a micro scale. It can look like the breakfast. It can look like drinking the water that I put in my bottle. Anything like that. Writing in the journal I have by my bed. That little execution. Just finish what I said I was going to do. On the macro side of things, if you commit to getting active 3 days a week, do it. Finish it, right? And the best part is you do it the first time. You start it the first time, you finish it the first time, and you just start building that momentum over and over again. And it just, once you do that a few days in a row or a few weeks in a row, a few months in a row, you're just going to keep rolling. Back to my fitness journey that I shared with you guys is, I started tracking food and just being mindful of that. And actually the best one is probably water. I committed to drinking 3 liters of water a day, which I always drank a lot of water, but not quite 3 liters. Another plug for measure, right? Track. because I thought I was drinking 3 liters, but I actually wasn't. So now I've been drinking 3 liters of water a day, tracking it. I have my bottles. I know exactly how many ounces of water is in each bottle. So I know how many bottles I need if I'm drinking from different bottles, all that kind of fun stuff. And I was super diligent in doing it. And now it's been 4 months and it's just a habit. Now I get you can probably already hear in my voice, my mouth is dry because I'm so used to drinking so much water and I feel so good doing it. So start it, finish it. Just do what you said you were going to do and build that momentum. And as soon as you start to continually be the guy that does, or the person, that does what you said you were going to do, that's just going to just feed your own momentum. And all of a sudden you're the person that doesn't miss workouts. You're the person that makes sure you have breakfast that you need, all that kind of stuff. And to really create the skill set of execution, the third thing in my mind, so we got start, we got finish, and we got repeat. You repeat the same thing. You do it over and over and over again. We deal with this with sales training all the time. You do something, you make a call, even if you blow up the call, right? Even if you stutter like I do, even if you call them the wrong name, you could say the wrong day, you could say good afternoon and it's still the morning. You could embarrass yourself, whatever it is, those terrible situations. But you picked up the phone, you made the call, and then you blow it up and you do it again, and you do it again, and you embarrass yourself 50 times, whatever that takes. But you just keep on keeping on, right? I think for me, probably the coolest thing, I love relating everything really back to sport. I love watching sports. Funny enough, an analogy that works really well for this is football, and I don't watch football. So somebody else will have to fact check me on this. But I think one thing for me about football that's been really, really interesting is I love the fact, I don't know how to word that. I appreciate the fact that their season is, should I look this up, 12 games long? NFL season is 12 games long. Yeah, 12 weeks in the season. I think that's really, really interesting. Some of these guys are getting a lot of money. They're millions, tens of millions, millions of dollars a year, and they play 12 games a year, right? They're getting paid to execute. They're not getting paid to practice. And I think that's a really cool distinction. They have been, for years and years and years, they've been going to these practices. Hot sun in the summer, cold snow in the fall, whatever that is, or yeah. And they practice in private. And I think that's one thing that for me really stands out because it's pretty rare. I guess football is big now and stuff, but even in most sports, like how often do the cameras actually follow around, professional football players, professional athletes? They definitely weren't following them when they were in high school, which is effectively when they had to decide if they wanted to be a professional athlete or not. They would have had to start taking it seriously at, 14, 15, whatever that is. They practice in private. And then when you practice in private, you're rewarded in public. And I think the NFL and professional football in general is that epitome of being private with practice and rewarded in public. Because if you think about it, 12 games in season, if I'm not mistaken, playoffs are maximum of 4 games, I guess. So what you're playing 16 games and you can be the best in the world. That's an unbelievable thing to think about. And how many times they've practiced and stuff like that. When I relate that back to somebody in sales, it's the conversations at a dinner table for a realtor. It's the cold calls as a car sales. It's, if you build a workout program and you sell it online, it's the cold call messaging DMs. It's the posting when nobody's listening. You build a yoga studio, or you're a photographer, or, I think we talked about macrame in the past, whatever this is. That's, you have to create the product long before anybody wants to buy it. And whatever that product is, whether it's you as a personality, how you connect with somebody, or a product that you actually make, there's a lot of work that goes into actually connecting with people, and you got to practice a lot in private. And I think that's a really, really cool distinction. So again, start, finish, and repeat, and do it over and over and over in that repetition until those skill sets are just second nature. You can get into negotiations. I've had clients and stuff compliment me on my ability to negotiate in a real estate deal, and or deal with difficult transactions, or stay level-headed in really, really tough conversations. I got a compliment from a realtor the other day at how calm I am. Tell my wife, right? I being calm is something that I had to learn, and I had to practice it, and I had to be very, very mindful of it. I'm a weird guy when I get on the phone, and I know I need to have a really tough conversation. I do things before I get on that conversation that I realize help me in those conversations. I have to stand. I take the deep breaths. I smile. I'll do that. These are things that I learned because I screwed up. I said good morning to the guy in the afternoon. I messed up a name. You know what I mean? Like, we all make mistakes. We learn from them. But if we're not willing to get back on that horse, and we're not willing to continue to put ourselves out there, those mistakes are going to dictate what we turn into. And I think it's important to use those mistakes as a springboard to what we can be. Oh, I like that. I'm going to say that again for you because I don't have it written down. I just made it up. Don't let the mistakes dictate who you are. Use those mistakes as a springboard to who you can be. Okay? So once we start, we finish, we repeat, that execution is just going to be nailed down, and it's going to be built into our subconscious, and we're just going to get much, much better at it. So I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to do something here, because this is something that I've been doing, and it really, really helps with my confidence. It helps me have conversations. It really helps me show up in a lot of different ways. Go do something uncomfortable. I think for me, one thing I want you to really consider is doing something uncomfortable. And for me, it's a conversation. Okay. I would really like you to have a conversation. I would like you to have a conversation with a stranger. Pick a day and just say, today, I know I'm going to be out. I'm not going to be kind of out and about or whatever you're doing, and I'm going to have a conversation with a stranger. It could be very, very small. It could be nice weather today, hey, right? Or don't say it like you're at a funeral service, but like, nice weather today, right? I see you got a double-double. I love a double-double. Whatever that is. You buying bread at the supermarket? Like, I don't care. Start a conversation with somebody. I think it's just freeing, and it's something that you can just show that life can be easy. Life can be fun. If you're uncomfortable with the conversations with people, if you're uncomfortable with getting in front of people, if you're selling macrame on Facebook and you're having a hard time breaking that barrier, a really good way to start is to say hi to somebody at Tim Hortons, or, tell a random stranger to have a nice day, or watch their step. I think that's really freeing. If that's too easy for you, then what I want you to do is go to somebody that you know pretty well. And this has been really, really special for me lately, because it's amazing what you'll learn and what people will tell you, and the kind of connections you'll build. Go to somebody that's pretty close to you and ask questions and actually listen for responses. I was sitting with a gentleman the other day, and I just kind of said, like, I don't know how it came up, but I was like, so what's the secret? What's the secret? Like, how do you do what you do? And boy, this was at hockey, and this turned into like a 20-minute conversation, and we were talking about books, and he was sharing quotes, and there's all sorts of valuable stuff that I just, I prompted through that ask, but I think both of us had a really, really good conversation that is super valuable to have. We both shared some stuff. I like to think we both got better in that conversation. And I know I definitely got better. Hopefully I brought some sort of value. I don't even really remember. But yeah, it's just ask. And I think you can really build those connections. Those asks for you, like building those things, doing those things, a little bit uncomfortable, but it's a gateway. It's a gateway for you to start doing the next thing. If you have to pick up the phone and call somebody to try and, sell a car, if you're a car sales, if you're trying to get people to sign up for your program, if you're trying to get people to, buy your macrame, start with those conversations, start with connecting with people, connect with strangers, and then connect with people that you know just on a deeper level, and build those conversations, build those connections. Because truly, like, if we look at kind of a segue to our next episode, actually, if we look at connection with people, and I just finished another book. It's actually Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's all about connection, right? It's all about connection. And really just super important mindset to just have the ability to connect with people and really relate to people. Because if we're looking at a business sense, who are we going to work with? We're going to work with people that really connected with us. And if you're a personal trainer, if you're a dietitian, if you're making macrame, if you're selling knitted goods, whatever that is, I'm going to buy from somebody that I can connect with. I'm going to buy from somebody that cares. I'm going to buy from somebody that really I can relate to, right? Has been in my shoes or has done something I want to do, something like that. So I think that'd be very, very cool. A little bit of a challenge for you. I would love to hear about it. Once again, I appreciate you joining along. This is a fun one. I looking forward to a couple really cool episodes. Building off of that connection, we have some really good conversation. We have a marketing director coming and joining us, just talking about, building connections with people and really about how to stand out in a marketplace and stuff. It's going to be really fun. Looking forward to having Kate on the show here. We'll keep pushing, keep doing your thing, keep getting uncomfortable. See you next time.